ครับสวัสดีครับขอบคุณทุกท่านที่ได้ซื้อ VCD เรื่องสะเดาะกุญแจขอออกตัวก่อนนะครับกุญแจ2ที่เราเรียกว่าสะเดาะเนี่ยเราใช้ใช้ VCD ของต่างประเทศมาเป็นตัวสอนซึ่งบ้านเราช่างที่สะเดาะเนี่ยก็จะมีอยู่ไม่กี่ท่านเพราะฉะนั้นถ้าดูจากของต่างประเทศทำได้ก็สามารถทำบ้านเราได้เกือบทุกดอกไม่ว่าจะเป็นรถยนต์มอเตอร์ไซค์ประตูโต๊ะทำงานลูกบิดนะครับแล้วก็ตลอดจนสุดท้ายเรามีการเรื่องของการเซฟด้วยเซฟที่เก็บเงินนะฮะก็การสะเดาะเนี่ยมันเป็นทักษะนะบางคนนี่เขี่ยทั้งวันก็เขี่ยไม่เป็นนะครับแต่บางคนเขี่ยเปาะหลุดเลยบางคนมือไวแล้วมืออ่อนแล้วเขาก็จะมีทักษะของเขาก็ต้องใช้การฝึกฝนเหมือนกันเล่นกลเล่นมายากลคล้ายๆกันต้องฝึกฝนให้ชำนาญงานสะเดาะเป็นงานเอาท์ดอร์ราคาดีอย่างเช่นว่าเราไปเปิดประตูบ้านที่เป็นลูกบิดนั่น600 บาทถ้ากลางคืนเขาคิด1,200ลูกค้าหลักก็คือโรงพักเนี่ยแหละเขาจะมีหมายบางทีเขาจะไม่ลื้อเพราะเดี๋ยวนี้รัฐธรรมนูญใหม่คุ้มครองสิทธิประชาชนก็ใช้วิธีว่าให้ช่างใจไปสะเดาะหรือการเปิดตู้เซฟที่มีคดีกันก็ต้องใช้ช่างเขาจะไม่ลื้อแบบพังทำลายแต่ใช้ลื้อวิธีการใช้สะเดาะก็คุ้มบางครั้งเนี่ยเราเขี่ยแป๊บเดียวก็ได้นะแต่เราทำคุณค่าของเวลาให้มันมากหน่อยเพราะมันจะดูแล้วเงินที่เราได้มาไม่คุ้มกับค่าเงินที่เขาเสียให้เราเขี่ยแป๊บออกเก็บเขา900มันก็คงจะไวไปอย่างรถยนต์เนี่ยเขาคิด1,500ก็คงไม่พูดมากกว่านี้เดี๋ยวดูเนื้อหากันดีกว่าว่าเนื้อหาเป็นยังไงนะครับแล้วก็ถ้ายังไงไม่เข้าใจยังไงก็มาเรียน5วันเรามีสอนสะเดาะ5วันจันทร์ถึงศุกร์หรือรอบพิเศษวันอาทิตย์เรียนเฉพาะวันอาทิตย์5 ครั้งเข้ามาเรียนกันนะครับท่านที่ซื้อเครื่องกุญแจไปแล้วก็ใช้สิทธิ์เรียนได้ฟรีนะครับวิชาที่ปกติมันเสีย 5,000 บาทแต่ไม่ต้องเสียเงินเรียนฟรีขอบคุณมากนะครับสวัสดีครับ
To make a tension wrench from an Allied wrench is very easy. Simply use a grinder and grind the tip of the Allen wrench into a flat head. Now grind the top and the bottom of the head until it becomes flat. This process will take approximately 4 to 5 minutes to complete, and this is what a completely grinded Allen wrench looks like right here. Now some people prefer this type of tension wrench over the standard steel spring type wrench because it's very rigid. That is, when the smallest movement from the cylinder is made, it can be easily felt on this type of wrench. The Ideal Creation lockpick set comes with 4 different pick heads, a pick holder, and a dual-sized double-headed tension wrench. I'm going to talk a little bit about when to use each of the picks and the tension wrench. Now, as you can see here, the ends of the tension wrench has 2 sizes. The small end of the tension wrench is used to open small locks, and the large end is used to open large locks. If the large end is inserted into a small lock like this, there won't be any room to insert the pick. So what you do is you simply flip the tension wrench over and you're able to insert it into the small lock and easily pick the lock. Now the first pick that I'm going to talk about is the pick feeler. Now to use the pick feeler, simply insert the holder into the opposite end of the pick and you're ready to go to pick the lock. Now this pick is ideal for the pressing and tapping technique. The head of the pick is long and curved so you can reach deep inside the lock to press the pins. The second pick here is the small rake pick. This pick is ideal for small locks and using the raking technique. Of course you can use this pick for the pressing and tapping technique, however this pick works best for the raking technique. Now the next pick is the large rake pick. This pick is almost identical to the small rake pick except bigger, so it's used to pick or rake larger locks. The last lock is the double-headed rake. Some people prefer this rake over the single-headed rake because every time you rake the pins, you hit them twice versus only once with the single-headed rake. This pick is sometimes so effective that on simple locks like desk, I can get them open with one quick stroke. Spring steel strips can be used to make ideal tension wrenches. Now these spring steel strips can be purchased at most hardware stores, hobby shops, or craft shops. And to make them, it's very easy. This particular strip cost about 60 cents. Now in this case, I'm going to use a little bit thinner piece of steel spring to do my demonstration. Now what you do is you bend the very tip of this 45 degrees. The reason why 45 degrees is spring steel will snap at 90 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to do two 45-degree bends. So we move back about a quarter of an inch and make our first bend 45 degrees. And that's about a 45-degree bend right there. Then the next step is we're going to take and do about 1/8 of an inch back. We're going to do another 45-degree bend. And there we have it. The total bend is 90 degrees and the steel spring did not snap because there are two 45-degree bends to make this 90-degree bend. And this is an ideal type of tension wrench. Making a feeler pick from steel spring is the best but hardest to make. There are different templates for making different types of lockpicks on this CD. These files can be read by Microsoft Word or a CAD program and printed. To make the lockpick, first print out the template, like this one here. The next step is to place a piece of clear tape on the front of the drawing, like this. Once the clear tape is placed on the front of the drawing, flip the drawing over and place a piece of double-sided stick tape on the back of the drawing, like this. Now the next step is to cut out the drawing. Use a pair of scissors and slowly follow the template. Once this is done, you will have a small paper template that looks like this. Now with this small paper template, you want to peel off the double-sided stick tape on the back and stick it on the metal strip. Once placed on the metal strip, use a black permanent marker and outline the part with the marker. Once the part is outlined, you can peel off the part that you just stuck on, and you'll have a part outline on the metal strip. Now, if you use a grinder, you can grind off all the excessive metal and just leave the part that you want. And so follow the outline and use your electric grinder to grind the part. This will take several minutes to do with an electric grinder, but in the end you should have a final part that looks like this. An excellent pick feeler or rake device. To make a tension wrench from a hairpin is very simple. The characteristics of the metal that is used in this hairpin is ideal for making a tension wrench, and that is spring steel. Spring steel will always go back to its original shape when pulled apart. The first step in making the tension wrench with the hairpin is to break off the leg that is straight, and the ideal place is to break it just at the loop, at this loop bending position right here. And I'll break this off and show you. To break spring steel, you need to bend it out 90 degrees. That's the threshold breaking point of the steel. So I bend it out 90 degrees and the end will snap off, just like that. And what you're left with is this piece of the hairpin. Now, the rest is very simple. Like I said, the spring steel will snap at about 90 degrees. Already there's about a 45-degree bend right here at the tip of the hairpin. So continuing bending it another 45 degrees will have no effect on the hairpin. It will not break. So I use a long nose pliers and continue bending that at that joint 90 degrees. This part of the hairpin I'm going to bend back 45 degrees so that we have a nice 90-degree bend right here. And this piece right here is too long to be used, so to shorten it I'll bend this tip back 90 degrees to make this tension wrench ideal for picking. And just bend it back 90 degrees and it snaps. And here we have it. Nice tension wrench. And all you have to do to use it is insert it into the lock. Using a hairpin is an excellent way to make a pick. The hairpin is made of spring steel, which is the ideal material for making a pick. Now to make the pick, start from the tip of the hairpin and break off about 1 1/4 inch length of material. Spring steel will break when bent back at 90 degrees. Now once this is done, pull off the little ball at the end of the hairpin with your long nose pliers. Once this is done, the very tip of the leg needs to be bent back 45 degrees, and a lot of pressure is needed actually to bend this. And use your back of your pliers or long nose pliers and grip it very tightly and bend. And once it's bent, it should look something like this. And now the very tip of the hairpin is very sharp, or has a sharp edge to it, and needs to be smoothed out so it can run smoothly over the pins. So this can either be done by rubbing it on a sheet of concrete or by using a grinder. In this case, I'm going to be using a grinder. Once you've done this, your hairpin pick feeler is completed. But to make it a little nicer and easier to grip, a strip of black tape can be used to be wrapped around the end of the hairpin. And there you have it, an excellent feeler pick. To make a feeler pick out of a safety pin is very easy. All you have to do is open the safety pin all the way. Now this safety pin is about 1.9 inches in length, and all you do is you just open up like this and bend the very tip of this safety pin out 45 degrees. Take about a quarter of an inch of the pin, and here we go. Bend it just like this, and once you bend it like this, this is almost ready to go. The tip of this safety pin is very sharp, and when picking locks can actually get stuck in the pins themselves. So I would recommend using a grinder or rubbing this on a sheet of concrete to dull the point. In this case I have a grinder. And there we have it. A nice feeler pick from a safety pin. Many times I combine the picking techniques knowing one of them will work. Sometimes I start off with a raking technique to get some of the basic pins into place. Then I switch over and go between the pin pressing technique and the tapping technique. The pressing technique works well on almost all locks. To do this technique, insert the pick feeler into the lock all the way and slowly start pressing up on each one of the pins. While pressing the pins, some of the pins will reach the shear line and click into place, and some of them won't until later. The reason for this is that most of the time the pins must be pressed in a particular sequence. This is why you repeat the process so many times until the lock opens. The raking technique is a very quick way to open locks. However, this technique sometimes is a little difficult to master. This is what a raking pick looks like. To do this raking technique, first insert the rake all the way into the lock until it touches the back wall. Then press down on the pick and use the base of the lock as leverage. The tip of the rake will press upwards. Then with a quick, short jerk of the pick, pull outwards. Repeat this many times and the lock will open up. With time you will get the feeling of how to do it just right to open up the lock. The tapping technique is ideal and works best in opening door locks and deadbolt locks. To do this technique, insert the pick feeler all the way into the lock. Then quickly start tapping on all the pins. The video may not be able to keep up to show how fast the actual tapping is. Listen to the audio to hear how fast the actual tapping is. I have found this technique more effective on doors than any other techniques. To make a pick feeler out of a paper clip, it's very simple. All you have to do is open the paper clip like this and bend the very tip of the paper clip 45 degrees. Take about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch and bend it 45 degrees like this. And there you have it. Very simple. A pick feeler using a paper clip. Now to use it, just like it with any feeler or feeler pick, just insert the pick into the lock and you can press upwards on all the pins. Now the paper clip is not very sturdy. As a matter of fact, it bends very easily. So less tension should be used on the tension wrench when picking a lock. And gently go through all the pins, pressing with the most inner pin and working outwards with the paper clip. To make a tension wrench from a paper clip, simply get a large paper clip like this. This is approximately 1.8 inches in length, and open the leg up like this. Bend the leg out 90 degrees so that it'll look like this. Now the next step is to bend the very tip of the paper clip 90 degrees. You should grab about 1/8 of an inch to 1/16 of an inch and should bend it out 90 degrees so that it would look just like this. Once that is done, a second bend that needs to be done. This needs to bend another 90-degree bend, and this time instead of 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch should be taken. And so this is what it should look like. The tension wrench is now completed. Now to insert the tension wrench into a lock, it's very simple. All you need to do is get your lock like this one here. And there's one of two places you can place the paper clip. You can either place it right in front of the pins like this, where you can apply a nice tension to the lock cylinder, or the paper clip could be placed below the pins like this, and a tension can be placed on the cylinder like this, where you still have access to the pins within. After the tension wrench has been in place, apply about 1 pound of force to the tension wrench so that there's a constant turning pressure on the lock. The next step is to insert the pick feeler all the way in until it touches the back of the lock. Now, starting with the back of the lock, press the pins, the deepest pins, in upwards. As the pins are being pressed in one at a time, you can feel the tension wrench slowly give a little bit. And in this case, I've just got one a second ago. There's a third one, and I've almost got them all. And then I'm going to stop at this point now. And one thing that you can do to see how many pins you have pressed to the correct depth is to slowly release the pressure on the tension wrench. And if you listen very carefully, you can hear the pins dropping back into place. 1, 2, 3, 4. There were 4 pins that had been pressed to the correct depth. This time I'm going to pick all 5 pins, and I'm going to be using a hairpin as the tension wrench and also as the pick feeler. Apply the tension, approximately about 1 pound of force on the tension wrench, and I slide the pick all the way inside to the very back. And I work, trying to get to the back. Okay, there it goes. It's all the way to the back. And then I slowly work forward, pressing each of the pins up as I'm working forward. And I've gotten a few pins right there. And that was it. That easy. that are used to open a lock. There's the tension wrench, which applies a turning pressure on the lock to open it, and there's the feeler, which is used to press the pins in on the lock. When the pins are pressed into the correct depth, the lock will automatically open up. Now, there are a wide variety of different tension wrenches and feelers on the market. These are a few of them. Each one of these feelers and tension wrenches has their pros and cons. Some of them are used for different techniques like raking, and some of them are used for other techniques like pressing. But all of them basically have the same function. The tension wrenches are always used to have a turning force on the lock, and the feelers are always used to press the pins in. The tension wrench can be placed in either one of two places. It can either be placed below the pins like this, or it can either be placed right in front of the pins like this. In either case, what is very important is that the pins are easily accessible with the pick feeler. Now, what's very important is the amount of pressure which is applied. Approximately 1 pound of pressure needs to be applied on the tension wrench. If too much pressure is applied on the tension wrench, the pins become very difficult to be pressed in. If too little pressure is applied on the tension wrench, then the pins won't click into place when they're pressed in the correct depth. The tubular lock that is going to be picked comes from a gumball machine. Now get your tubular pick and insert the square notch of the pick into the square hole of the tubular lock. At the same time, insert the pointy side of the pick into the curved edge of the tubular lock. This will allow you to apply a turning force on the tubular lock. While applying this turning force, get your feeler pick and slightly press each of the pins within the lock. You will notice that most of the pins are mushy or easy to push down. However, suddenly you'll find one of the pins are very stiff. Once this pin is located, use a little more force and push this pin all the way down until it clicks. At this point, the cylinder will slightly rotate and the pressure will be transferred to another pin. Again, gently press down on each of the pins until you find the next stepped pin. Once this pin is found, it'll click again. Once all the pins within the lock are pressed, the cylinder will rotate and the lock will open. This is a Ward lock. Once you've got the hang of opening it, it's fairly easy to open. To open this lock, I'm going to use this pick. The drawback of this particular pick is that it works on only 25% of the Ward locks. Now to use this pick, simply insert the pick all the way until it reaches the bottom of the lock. Then simply turn and the lock will open. This is called a Ward lock. The key looks something like this. This type of lock has only two pins keeping the lock shut. That is here and here. Now to pick this lock, first insert the Ward pick all the way into the lock until it hits the back wall. Second, turn the pick clockwise. If the pick is positioned correctly, you will see the pins that normally hold the lock shut move. Okay, again, insert the Ward pick all the way into the lock until it hits the back wall. Then turn the pick clockwise. You should feel the tension of the spring that holds the first pin. If the pin is positioned correctly, the shackle will slightly move and one side of the lock will be unlocked. To release the second pin, insert the Ward pick all the way into the lock until it hits the back wall. Then pull it out about 1/4 of an inch, which is just beyond the second plate. Then turn the pick clockwise. If the pick is positioned correctly, you will feel the spring that holds the second pin move, and the lock will open. pick a car door, insert the tension wrench into the lock and apply about a half a pound of turning force on the lock. Next, get your double-sided jiggler pick. It looks something like this. Insert it into the lock and start jiggling it up and down, bouncing it against the upper and lower pins. As the pins begin to align, the tension wrench will turn a little each time a pin is aligned. Continue to wiggle and jiggle, wiggle and jiggle. Once you get all the pins aligned, the lock will open. This is the lock that goes to a car trunk. Simply insert the tension wrench and apply about a half a pound of force on the tension wrench. Then get your double-sided jiggler, also known as a wiggler pick, and start wiggling and jiggling. Wiggle, 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 jiggle, 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 wiggle, 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 jiggle, jiggle. After a few seconds, the lock will turn and the trunk will open.
ครับก็มาถึงจุดสุดท้ายของการสะเดาะนะฮะผมก็ได้ให้เนื้อหาวิดีโอท่านมาหลายรูปแบบไม่ว่าเป็นสะเดาะประตูบ้านนะครับสะเดาะโต๊ะทำงานนะฮะสะเดาะกุญแจจีนแดงสะเดาะกุญแจ3ห่วงสะเดาะกุญแจแบบตัวเหลี่ยมนะฮะยาวและแหลบแบบเหลี่ยมเป็นซี่ๆแล้วก็อย่างอื่นๆอีกหลายรูปแบบตลอดจนทิ้งท้ายด้วยรถยนต์นะฮะอีกเล็กน้อยอีก2แบบคือประตูกับฝากระโปรงท้ายทั้งหมดนี้ต้องฝึกนะเป็นทักษะที่โรงเรียนมีฝึกอย่างนี้5วันนะครับชุดสะเดาะมีขายเป็นชุดพร้อมหนังสือชุดเล็กก็850 บาทไม่เกิน 1,200 นะครับแต่ถ้าเป็นชุดเขี่ยเร็วยาวเขี่ยโตโยต้าเขี่ยอีซูซุแบบที่ปั๊มน้ำมันหรือพวกอู่ล้างรถเขาเวลาเขาล็อกประตูโดยเผลอเลยเนี่ยเขาจะมีเหล็กเขี่ยเขาเรียกเหล็กปราบเซียนชุดนี้ก็ 4,700 จะมี5ด้ามซื้อเป็นน้ำด้ามก็ได้5ด้ามละ 1,200 นะรถคุณยี่ห้ออะไรก็ซื้อเฉพาะด้ามนั้นไปก็ได้ก็เอาไว้ฝึกเขี่ยกันงานพวกนี้เป็นงานได้เงินนะฮะเสริมกับเครื่องทำกุญแจจากแผ่นที่1เพราะแผ่นที่1นี่จะเป็นทำก๊อปปี้กุญแจหรือคนนิ่งแต่ชุดนี้เป็นชุดเอาท์ดอร์ออกไปทำข้างนอกบ้านอย่าลืมนะครับถ้ามีปัญหาใดกุญแจก็โทรมาที่ 028943135 แล้วก็ 028945308 แล้วยังมีซีดีอีกหลายๆอย่างนะครับคุณเอาไปเลือกดูได้นะฮะซีดีการทำกุญแจแล้วจะมีซีดีตัดสติกเกอร์ชุบทองพ่นทรายซีสกรีนนะครับยังมีซีดีด้านคอมอีก13เรื่องระบบแลนมัลติมีเดียนะครับเมนบอร์ดจอภาพนะครับพาวเวอร์ซัพพลายแม้กระทั่งการใช้มิเตอร์และอื่นๆนะฮะหรือถ้าเป็นจานดาวเทียมก็นะการติดตั้งจาน UBC การติดตั้งจาน ASPA นะฮะหรือการติดตั้งจานมูฟดูได้500ช่องดูบอลถือเป็นเรื่องปกติเลยหรือจะเป็นช่างแอร์นะครับช่างแอร์ก็มีแอร์บ้านแอร์รถยนต์ซ่อมตู้เย็นตู้แช่ตู้สเตนเลสยังมีโครงการ100 คนเรียนฟรีให้สถานประกอบการเรียนแล้วก็ไปทำงานในจ้าง1 ปีโดยมีเงื่อนไขว่าต้องถูกหักเป็นวิกนะหรือเดือนละ400เป็นเวลา1 ปีเสร็จแล้วจะไปทำเองที่ไหนทั่วประเทศก็ทำของเราเองไม่มีใครบังคับแต่ว่าต้องมีสัญญาเขา1 ปีนะครับก็เข้ามาเรียนกันนะครับภาคพิสูจน์สามเณรเรียนฟรีสุดท้ายนี้คงไม่รบกวนเวลานะฮะขอจบเพลงแค่นี้สงสัยประการใดโทรมาตามเบอร์ที่กำหนดไว้นะครับขอบคุณมากครับ